So, how many of you have ever left the United States to experience a different country? Okay, so like a pretty decent amount. And in my previous speeches, I briefly mentioned to you my passion for traveling outside of the U.S., specifically to Europe. And frequently traveling outside of the United States has provided me with a couple realizations about myself that I would like to share with you today. Living in the United States, I feel like we are completely sheltered from the rest of the world. And I feel like once you experience a culture that is different from your own, you'll kind of understand a little bit more what I'm talking about. And also, as I discussed in previous speeches, I met a foreign exchange student on my second day of my senior year, and we started dating, and for some reason she's stayed with me ever since. And I never thought that, and this has given me the perfect opportunity to experience the world, and I never thought that I would be able to, see Europe until I was much older. But sure enough, at 18 years old, I made my very first trip overseas, and I'd never been outside of the United States before, so I had literally no idea what to expect. Our American way of life is really all that I had ever known. So when I first got to Denmark, I was blown away at the cultural differences between the Danish way of life and the American way of life. And the Danish do many things differently. For example, we kind of rely on our cars for everything. Like, we'll drive to the end of the driveway for the mail, and they just walk and take bikes and take the train literally everywhere, no matter how cold it is. And they also have a sugar tax, meaning like the junk food that we can't go without, it's more expensive, so they just don't really eat it. And these differences are not necessarily like a bad thing, and they're just different. So I feel like one of the realizations that I had was that like different can sometimes be like this scary concept to us, and it's just different. It's not that big of a deal. And since my first trip to Europe in late 2014, I've been back 2 more times with plans to go back again this summer. I've been to 5 countries, and each is different from the last. And throughout my travels, I've had these like kind of realizations that I would like to share with you a little bit to expand your own cultural horizons. And first, the American media makes Europe seem like this dangerous war zone, and it's not like that at all, so please don't let that discourage you from going there this summer or anything. And second, there is so much more to the world than the small towns in which we are all from, and I think the only way to really grasp this concept is to truly get out and experience the world for yourself. And following my first trip to Europe in 2014, my life has changed in so many ways. Not just because of my relationship with Sarah, but my entire outlook on life has changed. I think that Americans, as Americans, we're not exposed to the levels of different cultures that Europeans are. And I think this leads to closed-mindedness on our part. And I have become more accepting and more open to the concept of different, because I think different truly does make the world go round. And I think the only way to understand really our own culture is to leave our country and live experience a life that is different than our own. And in doing so, you'll definitely learn a thing or two. And through traveling, I have realized how different we are from the rest of the world. We are all different, and that is what makes the concept of traveling so appealing to me. I've become a person that I'm extremely proud of today through my cultural experiences. And my self-realization was that once you leave your bubble and step outside of your comfort zone, you will experience a life of adventure and beautiful new experiences. And I realized that the best way to experience some of the most historical monuments in the world is to physically go there and see them for yourself, rather than seeing them on TV or hearing about them through word of mouth. And I've learned to embrace different through travel in order to erase ignorance. And finally, I strongly encourage you all to open your minds and step outside of your comfort zones, because it is something that you will not regret.